test environment. So I'm going to walk you through how to actually set up the call right now. It's really simple to do so, and there's actually no change in user behavior in terms of actually setting up a client appointment. And that's what I'm about to do and show you. You go into the dashboard itself, you go ahead and schedule a client appointment. You would do everything that your teams are currently doing at the moment, which is setting a date and time for the upcoming appointment, choosing a program, which you'd have to do anyways, choosing a client from your client menu right now, and from the menu of available clients within your agency instance. And for this one, I'm going to go ahead and select 2 individuals. It's important to note at this point that our telehealth module has no limitation on the number of clients that can participate on any single call. So again, just to confirm, there's no limitation on the number of folks that can simultaneously join a call from a client perspective, and the same is true from a staff perspective. For the purposes of this demonstration, I'm going to select Peter and Kirsten from our team. I'm going to go ahead and check an activity as well. And so everything I've shown you in the 7.5 seconds of setting up an appointment is actually no different from any of your staff's behavior at the moment. The only difference is that we've now added a telehealth appointment opportunity or checkoff box right into the appointment details window itself. So all you and your teams are now required to do, if in fact you want this to be a telehealth appointment, is go ahead and select telehealth appointment, and that truly is the only difference and change in behavior. Assuming you've done all of this now, you would go ahead and save the appointment itself. This is just telling me that it's outside of my working hours. And so now assume after setting up the appointment itself, we are now ready to conduct the call itself. So it is now August 25th at 11 o'clock. You or your staff members are ready to go and start the appointment itself. I'm just going to go ahead and turn off my camera, as no telehealth platform likes to have multiple cameras on. And so at this point, the only thing that you and your staff would have to do is go ahead and click Telehealth Call, which is the new button that appears on the navigation bar at the top. What that will do is actually prompt a window to open right within EMHware itself, so that you're again not leaving the interface whatsoever. It'll give you the opportunity to go ahead and preview the camera or start the call immediately. And so let's assume you want to go ahead and start the call. What it will do is start and tell my computer to go ahead and start the call itself, activating the camera. Might just take a second because we are, how many folks now? Almost 60 people on the call. So I'm using 2 software platforms to conduct the telehealth call right now, so it might take a second. But essentially what is happening right now on the back end is that the system itself is prompting the call to be initiated, and at the same time sending a notification to all participants to join the call in progress. This is absolutely my connection, and it usually does not take this long. If any of you have been on my demos before, I've seen this product in action. It is certainly not this long, but I imagine it has to do with the amount of folks that are on the call right now. So I'm going to stall here by asking you if you do enjoy the Blue Jays and the way that they're performing thus far this season. And we'll just have to give it a second here. Peter has also indicated that he's got some internet issues. So Peter, I don't know if you're on the call at the moment, but let me know if you're back on.
Yeah, back on. It's great timing. 1 p.m.
Perfect. Great. Lisa's saying no, not yesterday. That is correct. Performance yesterday was not good. And so we are still waiting, and I apologize for this. Let me go ahead and close this one down and make sure that in fact it isn't just me. I'm going to go ahead and just prompt the call itself to ensure that we're getting this done. There you go. And here I am. So here we are in the call itself, and here's how the call looks after actually initiating the call. So I apologize, that was on my end, that was my internet, but typically, as you saw the second time around, it takes all but 2 seconds. I'm going to go ahead and mute Peter and Kirsten as well, so that we don't have any feedback. And so let me walk you through what the interface actually looks like from this perspective. At the moment, what you're seeing is the host in the bottom left-hand corner. You're seeing all participants that will be part of the call listed on the left-hand side by named users. You have individual controls for those individuals as well as the host to essentially mute them, turn off their camera, etc. And the same is true from a global perspective. I can go ahead and get rid of some of the menus and navigation bars on the right and left-hand side of the screen. If this all looks familiar, because again, we took the approach of going ahead and copying Zoom from that perspective, I can go ahead and turn off and turn on my camera and audio as well. And so screen sharing also exists, and a number of different functionalities are available, all of which you should be used to now if you've done any telehealth calls on any platform for that matter. The added advantage that we are definitely excited about and want to really focus on today is twofold. Number one, on the right-hand side, you'll see there's a chat function. So I can in real time chat with both Peter and Kirsten. This is a global chat navigation. So from that perspective, everything that's contained within the chat is actually seen by everybody. So there is no opportunity for folks to chat on their own. This is a controlled environment, and certainly security, privacy, and confidentiality was our top concern. And then, of course, the other very important thing of which we're quite proud of is the fact that case notes are directly implemented into the telehealth module itself. From this perspective, what you should know is that this case notes or this note section is not visible to either Kirsten or Peter at this point, nor any clients who are joining the call. This is only available and viewable to the host itself. And all of your case note templates may already or will be able to be ported directly in, so that your templates can directly be used within the function itself, meaning no more tabbing over, hopefully no more copying, pasting from one to the other, and everything is contained within one consolidated window for you to conduct your call, while at the same time taking case notes either for all participants or for individual participants that are participating in the call itself. So the flexibility there exists. From that perspective, this call can go on indefinitely if you'd like it to. And again, there is no limited number on the number of participants on either the client or the host side as well. And so while we look to continuously improve on that, what this does today is hopefully provide you with, again, our aim, a single consolidated dashboard and source of truth for you to not only continue with your clinical work in terms of case note scheduling, but also integrating telehealth directly into that environment if it's suitable and if it'll help you out. I'll stop here just to take a quick look at the comments. Forgive me, just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. There are a few questions, so let me address those. Wendy's asking or saying, this function replaces using Zoom, Teams, etc. That's absolutely true, and that is the intent if it's of benefit to you and your teams. Can the link be created ahead of time or just get sent to the client when you start the call? Great question, Wendy. The answer to that question is the link is only generated when the host actually initiates the call and starts it. Because of the components around security, privacy, and confidentiality, unlike other platforms that were not built necessarily for behavioral health or having those sort of checks and balances in place, the link is not and cannot be generated before an actual call starts. And I just want to be clear on that and just build on that. No participants are able to join a call before the host actually initiates the call. And the same is true on the tail end. No participants of the call can continue to be on the call after the host ends the call. Again, building in those checks and balances and making sure that there are no conversations after the main conversation ends, and that we are in a controlled environment when it comes to the nature of the conversations that are being held here. Hope that answers your question. Sean is asking, is it safe to assume that the telehealth button that needs to be clicked is only available if you subscribe to the function? That is 100% correct, Sean. Just want to be clear on that point as well. This telehealth function is not automatically included in your instance of EMHware. This is an added functionality that does have an added cost to it. So at this point, if you're looking for that telehealth button, it most likely is not available within your agency instance unless we've had a conversation before and you are live. So from that perspective, certainly coming out of this call, if anybody is interested in exploring this as an opportunity, we are more than happy to help, and we can provide pricing and more answer any questions around logistics from that perspective. But to Sean's point, to be clear, if you're looking for a telehealth button right now, chances are it may not be there because this module and this functionality may not be live within your specific agency instance. Can I have a, Sharon's asking, can I have a child, client, parent at a different location on the call at the same time? The answer is yes, if I understand you correctly. You are able to attach caregivers or parents, for example, that are part of the client file if they do have a different email address or different contact information. So from that perspective, what we need to ensure, and certainly we can go into greater detail if I understand your question correctly, if there are individuals that are in separate homes or different locations, divorced parents, grandparents that need to be added, Children's Aid Society workers, and or somebody else, you can absolutely extend this invitation to anybody that's part of a client file if they are identified to be part of the client file itself. Could you add, Kim is asking, could you add another staff person, external contact? Yep, again, same sort of idea. We can certainly add individuals as long as they're part of your address book, they can be added to the call. Is the link sent to clients' email or text message to cell phones? Great question from Claire. The answer to that question is at the moment, it is all email, although we will be adding a functionality that allows folks to receive an invite via SMS as well. I want to speak to that point for just a second and want to let you know that the platform itself is agnostic to the platform or the browser, meaning if either Kirsten or Peter joined via cell phone, a smartphone versus a desktop device, they would still be able to join the call because the email that is sent is a link. It is not app dependent. It is not a download. We're again trying to avoid the potential barriers from a technology perspective that may exist, and that we've certainly heard from folks and partners of ours that say that that has been a detriment to this experience. So to be clear, this is not an app. This is not a download. Anyone from any device, essentially, as long as they have sort of relatively modern equipment, whether that be on a cell phone or a desktop, can join a EMHware initiated telehealth session from you. Michelle's asking, will the client need to download something to participate in the call? Simply click. Yep. Again, just simply click. It's as simple as that. And Lisa is asking, is this fully HIPAA compliant for sharing personal health information? Absolutely. Great question. To be clear, while we built this platform, we built it on a HIPAA compliant platform. And so from that perspective, all that you're seeing right now is data in transit. It is not stored. These messages, or excuse me, these calls are currently not being recorded. Well, they're not being recorded, and we are working on a optional feature with consent from both parties in the future to essentially be able to record the calls. But just to be clear, this data is in transit. It is completely HIPAA compliant, and there is no recording at the moment. It is real time. How would this work within groups? Work within a group or in groups manager? Again, Bailey, if I understand your question correctly, you can go ahead and set up the calls, whether it be external clients or internal from that perspective with anybody in your address book. Jen is asking, can you pull someone into a session once it's launched? For example, clinical manager, supervisor. Great question, Jen. The answer to that question is at the moment, no, you cannot invite somebody into the session once it's launched, but we're going to take that back as a piece of feedback because I know you can do that with other platforms. But again, the context of why I gave you that answer and why you can't do it at the moment is we are looking to create a controlled environment where all participants are logged in terms of being anonymized and aggregated, but are logged in terms of when they came in, when they came out, so that if you get subpoenaed 2 years from now, you will have that control versus other platforms which allow you to send a link to anyone at any time and they can join without any real controls in place. What does the invite with the link look like? Can it be customized? Great question from Wendy. Kirsten, Peter, put you on the spot. If you want to share your screen for a second, as we did or have done before, or at any point, the email itself is really simple. It says something to the effect of, you've been invited to a telehealth session that is now in progress. Click here. Can it be customized? We have to be extremely careful. I'm gonna caveat that answer with what was mentioned above. It can likely be customized to your agency, barring any personal health information being included in that invite. No names, no nature of the call that's being conducted or the services that are provided. So if you're interested, Wendy or anybody else, in customizing your invites, we can look into that for you and make sure that it is compliant, because again, we want to be very cognizant and aware of that. Penny's asking, when recording is enabled, does the recording go into the client file? TBD, to be determined. Most likely, just like case notes, it will. However, this is a question of capacity and storage. And so we are working through that right now. What I can tell you is it'll absolutely be stored in the cloud in Canada. The question will be whether it's a direct link to the client file or whether it's in the client file directly. That is still something that we're working on to try to determine what the best path for that is. Bailey's also asking, thinking about when we create a group and groups manager for a social group that would be virtual. Yep, I think I understand the question. Again, it is definitely possible. Or Kirsten, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I can jump in here. So Bailey, when you're establishing in the group manager a series of clients that are going to be involved in an ongoing group, yes, in essence, it will work just fine with this, because just like you have a publish to client portal button in the appointment that you're establishing for a group, it is the same thing for telehealth, where you're identifying that that group appointment is a telehealth appointment. So the determination that you're having this group appointment via telehealth does not actually get made in the group manager, but the group that you created in group manager and bring back into the appointment and then deem in the appointment that it's a telehealth session is where that would apply. And I can share my screen too as well, Rob, if you stop sharing if we want.
Oh, right. Sorry. Yeah. Let me just finish up, and then you can certainly share the invite if you'd like, and we can again post this as well. Awesome. Thanks, Kirsten. Bailey says thanks. So just conscious of everybody's time and your day. We've got about 8 minutes left in this. Again, hopefully what you get, and please keep the questions coming if there's anything else. Hopefully from what you are seeing right here, right now, is that this is intuitive, relatively simple, and hopefully can help you and complement your teams in what it is that they're doing and the important work that they're doing every single day. I will go ahead and now just show you what the end of a call looks like. It's pretty straightforward. I can choose to, for example, kick Peter out. So Peter, thanks for coming. You're done now. It will always ask you. And so now it's just Kirsten and I. And so when the host either lets people out of the room or finishes the call themselves, here's what happens. So Kirsten, thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and now end the call again with a prompt to ensure that this is in fact the action that needs to be undertaken. Everybody who is a participant of the call will then receive a thank you message just like that. And essentially the call is done. I want to confirm here as well that again, Peter and Kirsten in this example would not be able to go back to the invite itself and click on that link and be able to meet after the call is now and has now been completed. There are two other questions, and let me just stop sharing for a second so that I can see this properly. And Kirsten, in the interim, if you'd like to bring up the invite, you're more than happy to do so. Okay, there you go. Before I answer the questions, thank you. This is what an invite looks like. You'll see that it was sent from EMHware. This is not a reply email. This is a prompt. And all Kirsten and Peter did was click on the link that you see that says to join, please click here. And it's as simple as that. Okay, thank you for that. I'm going to go back to the questions. Suzanne is asking, can this be used for team meetings or clients only? Great question. It could be used for both. You can use it for internal internal staff meetings. So instead of booking a client appointment, you would just schedule a workload appointment. And again, as long as the permissions, and this is a great point to bring this up, there is an opportunity to set permissions for staff within the agency. So this is also not designed to be a per license product, meaning you're not signing up for a Zoom license and you need 300 Zoom licenses. The way that we have kind of thought about this from feedback from yourselves and your partners and our partners is that is cost prohibitive. And so the way that we've designed it is that anybody within the agency that you would like to have access to telehealth will have it. And so from that perspective, again, whether it's staff or client facing in a clinical environment, anybody can take advantage of it. Jen is saying, love the way the platform looks. Thank you. I noticed there is a slight delay in the videos. It's because we're running a telehealth meeting in conjunction with a Zoom meeting. Yes, and there's also 3 other people in my household right now that are having Zoom meetings, or at least are on the internet. So I guarantee you it's because of my connection. As you saw right off the bat there, it's me, it's not you. We've done this and we've done a ton of testing, and we've yet to receive any feedback that there's a delay or any issues. Of course, that being said, this is part like every other platform. If you're having a way down internet connection, it certainly will affect the quality of the call. Do note that we have built in a mechanism that actually degrades the quality of the video. And as the first step, if in fact it does that and does so automatically, but even with 60 people here on the call and other people in my household, you saw that the quality of the video itself hopefully was still very good. So from that perspective, again, we have not received any feedback, thankfully, yet that the quality of the calls is subpar or anything that's detrimental to facilitating the conversations. Wendy's asking, any chance a survey about the experience can be added to the thank you? That's a fantastic question and point, and we will take that back. At the moment, the answer is no, but that's the first time that's been brought up. So we are totally open to it, and I will add a note and pass that on. And if it is and becomes part of our development roadmap, we will certainly let everybody know. Can the case notes be accessed following the session outside the call? Absolutely. Just to be clear, the case notes will automatically be saved to the client or to the group, depending on where the case note was taken, and it will absolutely be accessible within the client file itself. Is it, Jonathan is asking, is it possible for a recipient to forward the link to someone else to join? Yes, it is possible. However, two people of the same token cannot be on the call at the same time. So unless that individual jumps from device to device, they can, but not with a token from a different perspective. I'm going to just clarify on that point and make sure that what I'm telling you is the truth, but I'm 99.9% certain. Mark is asking, can this be used to facilitate a meeting with other community partners? Again, yeah, absolutely. As long as folks are within the address book, they can be part of the experience, and you can send and extend an invite. And Jen is asking, what is the largest number of participants you have tested for? That's a great question. I think we were somewhere in the vicinity of 20 to 30 people. I can tell you that from a testing perspective, we also are able to see logs of quality on the back. And so unless you're telling me that you may have 100 plus people, I think you're in very good standing. However, if you do, Jen, have a really high quantity or what you deem as high, by all means, we can kind of stress test a little bit and make sure that before you get into any live environments, we go through all the motions to make sure that it is effective and you're not going to be at a disadvantage from a quality perspective or anything like that. Wendy's asking, when ending the call, does it complete the appointment in their file, or do you need to go back and do that? You actually need to go ahead and complete the appointment, or can complete the appointment and save it. So just because the call is done doesn't mean the interaction is done or that you're limited in any way in continuing to input information. Sean is asking, is there a chat function? Yep, again, the chat function lives on the right side of the actual window itself. It is a global chat function, meaning what you write or anybody else writes is accessible and seen by everybody. Again, we need to have this in a controlled environment, and what we're trying to avoid is having people having side conversations without you knowing at least. So that is a functionality that is currently available and live. All right. I always think 30 minutes is going to be a long time, but it flies, and fantastic questions and great suggestions on some product improvements. So thank you very much. As a next step, if anybody's interested in learning more, having specific questions, this is certainly not at the end of the dialogue. By all means, please reach out to us for any questions or anything that we can do to help. Support@emhware.ca is your best bet, and questions will likely come to all of us, and we'll be sure to answer them. If we can help in any other way, you know where we are. And again, as we continue to work on products to help you, we're open to any suggestions and feedback. And certainly when it comes to telehealth, there's been a ton of work and energy put into this, and hopefully it will help you in some way. And if it does, we're here to help you. So I want to say thank you to all of you for making the time. And again, if you have any questions, reach out. In the meantime, have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you for your time, and hope everybody stays healthy. Thanks all. Have a great day.